Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to this feminine platform. And if you are a new subscriber to our soft power community, then hello and hi and welcome. So, I wanted to share this cautionary tale to spark a very honest conversation about the consequences that come with not having a feminine education, and to remind my audience of why we advocate so hard for hypergamy and provision and social climbing and raising your cultural capital and expanding your range on this channel as a focus when it comes to romantic relationships so that you can have better outcomes when in the dating and marriage marketplace. Because, long story short, struggle love hurts. And no, a man is not a plan, and having a skill set to provide for yourself doesn't make you masculine. And being hypergamous doesn't mean being dumb, stupid, or lazy for men. What makes a woman masculine is her attitude, her behaviors, her lack of femininity, and no one likes to say this out loud, but having to do both roles and doing it all on your own will make you more masculine. But being an older woman who is living in the consequences of financial struggle when you aren't leveled up really hurts, which is why this clip that you are about to watch made me feel so sad.
A lot of people, they think when they get older, they're going to be settling down and things going to be wonderful. They're going to be peaceful. But let me tell y'all this here. This must be a new day, because guess what, y'all? People my age are still trying to make it. They still trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet. A lot of people still got their own homes, but they got to worry about the taxes. Some older people, they got to worry about how they're going to pay their utility bills. Some of those Social Security checks ain't enough. And a lot of times people really think that when I get older, when I get Social Security, when I be able to do it, you better get yourself together now for when you get older. Because people think that when they get old, y'all just don't have no idea. The young people don't have no idea. You got to get your life together now for when you get older. Figure out some kind of plan, y'all, that y'all can do when you get older, that you won't have to go through a lot of struggles that a lot of older people are going through. I'm shocked myself when I see how a lot of elderly people they're struggling. They're struggling. And every time you look, something going up. Now, inflation and ate up a whole lot of people's Social Security check, y'all. A whole lot of people, Social Security check, it can't pay everything. And they just struggling, and everything is, wait till my check comes. Everything they try to do, I gotta wait for my check. Prepare yourself now for later. And make sure you get a plan, and more than Social Security. Make sure you get other checks, inflation eating up checks like crazy, y'all. Talk to you later.
Now, one of the reasons why I started this channel is not only to positively give back to my community, but also to teach women who have a teachable spirit what absolutely no one taught me. And that is that after the age of 25, that all of your decisions and your romantic moves gotta make sense, and that you cannot afford to treat your life like a joke. Otherwise, the consequences of your feminine ignorance and that lack of femininity and soft power can be devastating. Now, for most Black women, not all, but for many Black women, we are raised to be the surrogate men in our families, which is why so many Black women have such strong blind spots with their femininity, or their femininity is completely buried. And what I am about to say is going to ruffle some feathers, but you can go argue with the ring around your tub. But unfortunately, many Black women, especially many frustrated Black women, are very prone to clinging on to femcel rhetoric and hopping onto bandwagon behavior and sloganeering anthems, whether it's the conditioning of the independent women anthems in music, the 4B movement, or even the decenter men movement, or whatever manless trend that frustrated women love to hop on. But Black women have always allowed themselves to be wholesale duped out of taking advantage of the patriarchy to their detriment. So much so that there is now an expectation for Black women to be manless, to be the face of strength, and in some cases, aggression, to be the face of defiance or struggling at the bottom, and more importantly, for Black women to be their own providers. But as a message to my aspiring hypergamous girlies, and the earlier that you can get this message, the better. But the entire point of this video is to remind you that your feminine decision making is about playing the long game of chess, not checkers. So always be sure to set yourself up for long-term success. And do not jump on bandwagons of any kind. I repeat, do not jump on bandwagons of any kind. And do not allow others to discourage you from using the patriarchy for your benefit, even if you have to move in silence. And do not ever apologize for making it a goal to be a provider for a wife or for benefiting from the strength of a man's masculinity. And having a head start on this mindset alone will really come in handy when you get older. Otherwise, the consequences of being on your own island can prove devastating because life can come at you fast. And just to show you a few examples, but here are a few hypergamous women who haven't hopped onto anyone's 4B wagon and who are much further ahead in life in terms of security and stability just from the type of men that they have attached themselves to. Because the goal has always been to marry well, and when things go belly up, to divorce well. And because of cautionary tales like these, it is so important that you learn how to social climb, that you learn how to spot a healthy masculine man who has a plan, because of course, you do not ever get into a relationship car with a man who doesn't know where he's going, and that you learn how to make the patriarchy work for you instead of working against it. Because for the most part, without social climbing, you will always have disastrous results when it comes to hypergamous fishing in a broke pond. So in many ways, the type of man that you marry and have a family with will be the most important decision of your life. So getting married for the sake of being married is not the flex that many women think that it is, because you can be a masculine wife and a role reversal wife, which is why marriage shaming isn't always the flex that the pick-me-boots advocates tend to think that it is. The goal is to marry well and to marry ambitious and to marry hardworking and to marry masculine, not to get entangled or distracted by manless movements that encourage you to go at life alone, and not to get involved with good talkers or good-looking bums or men who want to be kept, or by men who are role reversal kings or weak male leeches. The right man will always work harder than you ladies so that you can rest in your feminine, so that you can look up to 10 to 20 years younger, but also so that when you age, that you are in a position to be taken care of by your masculine husband's financial legacy, or if things don't work out, alimony. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. But to get this conversation started, have Black women hopped onto too many manless bandwagons? And as always, I thank you for liking, for watching, for subscribing, and for sharing the Feminine School videos on this platform. And as a reminder, always remember that a quality level up, and that when you are doing the real work, is always private, that you will always have more friends when you are the worst version of yourself. And always remember to keep social climbing, because your biggest critics will eventually copy all of your moves. So stay tuned for more videos to come, and I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.
One of the greatest traits that I believe you can possess, especially as a woman, is resilience. Being able to bounce back quickly is a trait that I'm starting to realize a lot of people do not possess, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. And one rule that I live by is my 24-hour rule. Whenever something happens, whether it's devastating or just something that I did not expect, I give myself 24 hours. I give myself 24 hours to cry, to cuss, to fuss, to be angry, to feel every single emotion. But after that 24 hours, it's time to get back to business, because staying in the same place does not benefit the woman I want to become, nor the woman I am today. And one thing I do know is that you'll never find me where you left me. I'm just a firm believer that it always works out for my good, because my track record, it shows that. I'll always end up in a better position, whether it's financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I'll always end up on top. And I know that a lot of that is because of the favor of God, but I also know that it is because I am unwilling to stay in the same position when I know I have the control to change the outcome. And another thing that really helps me as well is thinking about how in the next 5 to 10 years, whatever situation has just happened will not be a major factor in my life anymore. I will probably be living in another answered prayer, because I'm currently living in what used to be a prayer request. So let this be a reminder that you can bounce back as many times as you need to. In the end, you will always win. And I am definitely living proof.
I made this video because I didn't want to cry, but something is really on my heart. I'm not crying on the internet. This is the time of year where people do their highlights. And 2 years ago was the worst year of my life. Struggling with heartbreak. 10 days before my wedding, I was hospitalized for chronic stress. The next year in 2023, I was trying to rebuild. I lost my job. This message is for anyone that is being triggered by all the highlights that everyone has this time of year. Like, the year was amazing. No, sometimes the year sucks, and that is okay. This message is a message of encouragement to know you need to love yourself enough to know that you deserve better. And you also need to love yourself enough to do the work it requires to get better, the spiritual work. I disappeared off the internet for probably like 6 months. I went ghost and I went to go do the work. So my heart goes out to anyone that is being triggered right now. Everyone shows highlights, but not a lot of people show grief, heartbreak, sickness. Sometimes your year is just crappy. I'm trying to use censored language. And I don't want you to think you see my little highlights from 2024. I put in the work for 2024. It's nothing but the grace of God that I sit here talking to you, and I will continue to share my story, not to flex, but to serve. Like, it's gonna be okay. We need to normalize just being honest and being vulnerable. Because people just see highlights and run the tapes back. Some advice from your big or your little sis Tiff. Happy New Year.
I learned that I'm definitely gonna pass on to my daughters. If it feels weird, it is weird. People's spirit cannot hide what they feel about you. If they don't clap for you during your wins and they're only available to hear about all your hard times, they're rooting for your demise. If a man has multiple kids and you have none, run. Run. I don't care what society says about marriage, but marriage is always the goal. If you're in a relationship with somebody, before you go ahead and give them crouch candy, you need to make sure that they are willing to commit to you. No glorified babysitters. We're not doing that shit no more. Be honest with yourself about the places that you keep yourself in mentally, physically, and emotionally. A lot of times, depression and feeling sad is because we've kept ourselves in a place for too long versus learning the lesson and just attempting to move on, or just straight up moving on. I don't care what you've been through, how many hardships that you've had, you can always make it through. Like, life is a series of lessons, some ups and some downs. Keep it fucking pushing. Faith is everything. I don't care what things may look like around you, still know that God is. And everything that is happening is being orchestrated specifically for your good. Keep fucking going.